The journey towards democracy in Africa has been marked by resilience and transformation. Issues such as election irregularities, limited transparency, and fluctuating political freedoms continue to impact citizens' confidence in governance, particularly in the electoral process. Now, despite these challenges, Africans are increasingly harnessing technology as a tool for political participation, from mobilizing for free and fair elections to advocating for policy reforms.
Well, the Technology, New Media, Citizens and Governance Conference started with a simple idea. How is new media being used as a tool for civic empowerment? From its first edition, it positioned itself as a pioneering forum in Africa, addressing the role of digital platforms in strengthening democratic processes. Over the years, the topics have expanded, reflecting shifts in the digital landscape as well. Well, joining us to discuss the sixth edition is Gabriel Okeowo, Country Director, Budget Nigeria. Thank you so much for finding time to join us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me on the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, let's start off by asking, you might want to tell us a bit more on what inspired and has kept TNCG conference going for the past 6 years, if I'm right?
Yeah, thank you. And it's such a pleasure to be here and just listening to some of the issues you had started off the breakfast show this morning. It just gives credence to the very essence of this conference. This is a conference that started in 2012, and we must really give credit to Enough is Enough Nigeria, who championed and pioneered this idea. The first edition being done in partnership with Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Center, and it looked at new media and governance, right? And that is because understanding that our democracy that we have today, we didn't just land here by accident. This has taken us, in Nigeria, for example, we are celebrating 25 years now of unbroken, democracy, and in some other parts of Africa, we have seen democracy also come to stay. And we then, identify that there has been some tool, there has been some factors that contribute to the sustenance and the, evolving of democracy in Africa. And that was where this whole idea started from. And different edition of the idea has then metamorphosed since inception. From just looking at new media and governance, it's metamorphosed into, adding citizens to that mix, because understanding that new media as a tool itself, there is a citizen in between governance and the tool that is being used. And then we used to have NMCG, which is new media, citizens, and governance. But now, this edition, we have now added technology, and that is because of the role that technology, artificial intelligence, is now playing in our democracy. And if I can just draw, an instance from the current and trending, though ugly incidents, that we have in our country, for example, and you did mention this are not the days, gone are the days when we used to have, people in power, people in government, just do as they like without any repercussion, possibly without even anyone knowing. But in the age and time that we live now, technology is now a critical component of political action. Technology is a critical component of our everyday life. Technology is a critical component, of governance. Right, so and we need to approach it as that's what it is. And when you also look at the way election is being carried out, in Africa, not just in Nigeria, you also see that we have come to embrace technology as a tool. politicians has come to embrace technology as a tool for them to, sell themselves and drive their manifesto campaign to the people. And so this conference, the whole idea of this conference is to bring, thought leaders together, is to bring together professionals in the room, and let us look in depth into how is technology, new media, how are they catalyzing our political action? How are they, contributing to our democracy, solidifying our democracy in Africa? This is a Pan-African conference and not just Nigeria. And you can see from the guests and the speakers that will be at the conference. We have speakers, of course. The keynote address itself is going to be delivered by our own, very own former Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. But aside from him, you then have an array of speakers cut across from Africa, from South Africa, from Egypt, from Liberia, from Kenya. We have them cut across so that we can really make this a Pan-African conversation, because what we see happening in Nigeria is not peculiar to Nigeria. New media, technology, social media, all of these tools have come to stay, and they are shaping political action.
Mr. Okeowo, I would like that you speak a little bit more on the electoral process in Nigeria and across Africa, and the role that technology, the major role that technology has come to play, from the electoral bodies to citizens and every other person who is a stakeholder in the election space. What is the major role, and what change has technology brought?
Thank you very much. I mean, which is one of the sessions we are going to be having. We have a breakout session that is going to be dedicated to looking at election in Africa, the role of technology, and we cannot overemphasize that. We cannot underestimate the power that technology now holds in our election in Africa, right? Right from the campaign to putting out the image of politicians, to misinformation, disinformation, marketing. These are all of the things that technology is doing. Technology is an amplifier, right? And it has that capacity to amplify what you sell to it. And we have seen over the years, right, across Africa, we have seen politicians using technology, right, to market themselves, to sell their ideas, sell their manifestos, put themselves forward before the people, that their physical campaign tour may not be able to cover. And why that is good, it is also the fact that we have seen technology also being used by citizens, right, to be able to hold elected officials to account. I mean, we saw an example would be what happened in Kenya not too far ago, where the young folks in Kenya were able to repeal, a bill that would have been passed, into law. But the power of technology, with the fiscal action that youth in the country took, we were able to see that bill, coming to a halt, and the government looking into themselves. The action may not have even gained more effect if technology was not added to it, because with the power of technology, you are then able to take conversation beyond your immediate environment. You are able to take conversation or your political action to other spheres where you are not physically there, and then you are able to galvanize support. So this works for both the demand side of the government and the supply side of the citizens. And then artificial intelligence has also come to play. Right today now, we see a lot happening online. and while this can be used on the other side negatively, it is also a critical component that now, supports the work, support political action in Africa. And if we bring it home in our electioneering, technology is also stifling that process of election fraud. We are not there. We cannot say that we have totally eradicated, election fraud or election trading, vote buying like we see in our environment here. But technology allows us to be able to have evidence to this kind of political action. And it's not just here. And we believe that technology has come to stay. So this conference, part of what this conference is meant to do is for us to even be able to dig even further down into areas that is not even open yet for us to be able to see. The overall theme of this conference is technology, the present and the future of political action in Africa. We want to be able to look at how well have you used technology and what other areas of technology we still yet to be fully harnessed, so that we can look into what we might be missing, what we need to correct. We can bring this conversation home and really see how we can use it to improve, governance, how we can use it to strengthen our democracy in Africa.
I mean, misinformation, disinformation, and also fake news still remains a major threat to gathering authentic information. Now, this conference possibly should be able to tackle these concerns. Can you shed more light on this as well?
Yes, thank you very much. We particularly have a session that we call, aside from technology, we have a session that we call emerging technology to enhance governance and electoral integrity in Africa. And this is because we are not oblivious of the fact that technology, as positive as it could be, right, it has also been used in the recent years to propagate and promote disinformation and misinformation. And this is not only from the side of the citizens. This is both ways. We have also seen, government in some time using technology, using, media platform to be able to, sell an agenda to curb, the action of citizens, right? An example of that would be some not too far ago in Nigeria, where there was a campaign around bad governance, end bad governance, and then in the whole of that campaign to end bad governance, the nomenclature or the terminology of violence is going to be violence, and violence did come from the side of the citizens. Most of where that conversation and the use of that word came from was from the side of the government, from the demand side. While political action, campaign has tendency, to escalate into violence, selling that idea, selling that word into the mind of the citizens was not there from the convener of that kind of campaign. So when we use technology, right, there is a two sides of the coin. We can use it to propagate and promote action that we want to see, and we can also use it to promote disinformation and misinformation. And this conference will bring thought leaders together. One of the people that will be at this conference, aside from Professor Yemi Osinbajo that I mentioned earlier on, we are going to be having the Deputy Minister for ICT from South Africa. We have our own Minister for Communication and Digital Technology, Dr. Boso Tijani. Leaders like this that are in government and thought leaders that are outside government are going to be put together in a session, in a panel, to be able to really dig down into this kind of conversation and see how can we use technology, how can we use other emerging technology to improve our democracy and political action in Africa.
All right. I think we probably also talk about the conference itself. It sounds like it's going to be really, really packed, and there's so much that people can learn. But talk about how people can attend, where exactly it's happening, and how people can get involved with this conference.
The conference is happening on the Thursday, 28th of November, 2024, which is just about a week from now, right? The venue is the Ozone, right beside UPS at Bagada, Lagos. And the conference starts at 9 a.m. in the morning on Thursday, 28th November. There is a link to register online. So we encourage, citizens, government, private sector, to follow any of our handles, either Budget NG or EIE Nigeria. Follow any of our handles on social media platform. You'll be able to see the link to register to be part of this event. It's a full day event. Original plan is to have it as a 2-day conference, but we have merged the 2 days conference into one full day conference, and it's going to be fully packed, right? There are different sessions. We have a plenary session. We have 2 breakout sessions. We have a closing plenary, and then we have other session that is dedicated to young folks, particularly in the creative industry, right? Skit makers, artists. They will have opportunity to also be able to pitch their creatives, to sell it into how they can use creatives that we now see all around in media. How can we use it to also improve our political action? How can we use it to strengthen our democracy in Africa? Not just using skits for the comedy purpose of it, but we can also use skits as it has now gained a lot of attention. We can use it as a tool to promote governance and strengthen our democracy.
Wonderful. Well, we look forward to that day, and I'm sure that everyone who would join in would definitely benefit a lot. Thank you so much, Gabriel Okeowo, Country Director, Budget Nigeria, for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.